We finally got our inflation numbers for the month of April. Let's talk about how it's going to affect the market and crypto. So first, let's dive into the numbers. Our CPI came back for the month of April at 3.8% overall for inflation. Now, what does that mean? Simply put, that means that consumers experienced in the consumer price index, or CPI, a 3.8% inflation increase from April of last year in 2025. Now, this was right in line with the expectations, which were at 3.7%, so a little bit above, but nothing crazy. Now, you also have to realize that still puts us up 0.6% from month over month inflation, which would be since March of this year. Now, that is a significant leap, but as we've been talking about for some time now, we knew this was very likely coming due to the oil crisis. And while we're talking about oil, if we were to specifically look at the oil sector or energy sector or even airfare, all three of those are up 20% in that time period. Now, if you think that's bad, just wait till we get to the PPI information, because producer price index, or what the producers are paying either month over month or year over year for inflation, was way higher than expectations, unfortunately. What it came in at is 6%, which is well above the 4.9% that was expected, and that is a 2% jump from March into April alone. So what does this mean? Well, it simply tells us that producers are still taking the brunt of inflation at this time. Now, that doesn't always last. As we know, producers ultimately trickle it down into the consumer, but at this time, that is what we're experiencing. And with all this new information, the predictions market is now up to a 30% chance that we get a rate hike instead of stagnation with rates or cut at the next FOMC meeting. And on top of that, this new information also means that inflation is yet again outpacing paycheck raises year over year, which we haven't seen since early 2023. So if we put all of this together with the unemployment information that we learned not too long ago, where we found out that we have 115,000 jobs that were created in the month of April, and there was a revision for March upward, so more creations of jobs for non-farm payroll, this is starting to look like a hike actually might be on the table. Now, why do I say that, you might ask? Well, let's think about it. If the Fed has a dual mandate to control unemployment, but also control inflation, and right now we're seeing new jobs created over the past handful of months, and on top of that, the unemployment rate is staying pretty much about where it has been for the last year or so. But on the other hand, we have inflation going through the roof, spiking like crazy, more than we've seen in years and years and years. That signals to the Fed that it's time to hike those rates. Now, I will say, this isn't guaranteed, and I think a lot of people would pause their analysis there, but I still personally would like to believe that we might actually not get that rate hike just yet.